Liverpool Fan in Japan.
Hello YouTube, Liverpool Fan in Japan here, the Miyazaki man Sai. This is going to be a very spicy video, so tuck in and put on your seatbelt, right? I am one of Arne Slot's biggest fans. He's done an amazing job taking over from Jurgen Klopp in a handover season, going to win the Premier League, the bread and butter. We still need to get it sealed, right? I'm a fan of his demeanor, the way he speaks to the press, the way he presents himself. He really represents Liverpool well. I've never been afraid to criticize, constructively give feedback and analyze when something smells a bit, when something's a little bit off as well, right? This is a channel, Substance in Abundance, and I'll tell you exactly what I think went wrong from between January and until now, what 5 major flaws and issues are with Arne Slot's management of the Liverpool team. And even though we had 4 cup competitions that we were going for, gung-ho, in the Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup in January, and having been eliminated through 3 of them, and losing a final to Newcastle yesterday, well deserved by the way, they eliminated all of the current top 4, right? All the current top 4 have fallen to Newcastle in this cup. They turned up on the day. We couldn't break their tactics. Set piece dominance. McAllister on Dan Burn. Lots of issues with that match, which we will go into as well. But there's, I think, 5 major reasons that I'm not particularly happy with the way that the season's transpired. And let me know in the comments below if you agree with me, what your thoughts are on Arne Slot, the Liverpool manager, on how the season transpired, what you're feeling at the moment, and are you optimistic for next season as well, okay? So let's get into it. And some of the big issues I'm going to highlight are the usage of the squad, the trust in the squad players, right? Bigging up the players on a big occasion, the momentum, giving them that match fitness, a Jurgen Klopp quality where on a personal level, he can make you feel like $1,000,000, perform on day, a system designed only for Salah and Gravenberch in particularly to excel. How you rely on intensity in moments and running power to get you out of a pinch and to get you in the right places on the transition. And coupled with that, a lack of a system to really get the best out of Jota, to get the best out of Nunez, to get the best out of Lucho Diaz, and what particularly happened between Lucho Diaz at the start of the season compared to now. And these are just some of the points that I want to go through, so stick with me, right? Because you know that I don't chase clout with sensationalism, right? I don't flame and spew toxic vitriol to players directly or anything like that. As I said, substance and abundance, we're going to analyze the key points and what the media just can't seem to grasp. And whilst going out the 3 cup competitions is never a good thing at all, right? The lessons learned from it could make our future more bright. And I'll tell you why. There are some positive notes as well. But once again, right, take all the information and analysis from all different sources and make your own decisions, because you hear some absolutely ridiculous takes in the media, like Liverpool peaked too early. They peaked too early. They have the easier fixtures at the start of the season. They won those. They've peaked. They've shown the best of themselves. And now we're crawling to the finish line in the Premier League. No, they earned that gap in the Premier League. They beat every comment that came their way. There's not a single game that you don't want to win. What in the hell does that even mean, peaking too early? You want to win every single game that's in front of you. Is that peaking? That's common sense. And it's not that Arsenal faltered and didn't provide a challenge or had injury issues. Every team had injury issues. We had no right back for the final, for example, right? And our beloved rivals, Arsenal, Manchester City, some of the things are not in their hands. When Bournemouth take points off them, Brentford take points off them, West Ham take points off them, the lower table teams have all upscaled, tactically become better, become stronger squads, become braver, new managers in the dugout, taking it to Arsenal, taking it to Man City, and forming the barricades and the walls that they couldn't break down. The opposition are the reason why Manchester City and Arsenal faltered, not because Arsenal entitlement deserved to batter every lower league team as do Man City. No, other teams legitimately took points off them, whereas Liverpool beat them and got the points and racked it up on the table and are where they are on merit. And all things considered, if Arne Slot ends his first season in the Premier League as a young coach, as a young manager without much Champions League experience, right? Against big guns, Guardiola, even Arteta, who had his stewardship under Guardiola, for example, and other big managers in the league as well. If Arne Slot ends it with the Premier League, the bread and butter for Liverpool, the one and done, the big one that everyone wanted to win, even though I prefer big is, personally, I love this 4 of 7 stars on the chest. then it's a very successful season. Even if we crawl there with a canter and win it by 2 points, 3 points, 5 points, or whatever, a Premier League season is what Arteta can only dream of. But it is slightly disappointing when we're in all four competitions. But as someone famously said, it's very difficult. And there's a reason why the quadruple hasn't really been done, is because you need a slice of luck. You need things to go your way. You need to make the right decisions. You need to be tactically able. The players need to deliver on the pitch. Everything needs to go your way for every single match and every single moment. And on any given day, like against PSG, you can be knocked out or the opposition can play better. Or against Newcastle, you could just play pants anyway. So let's get into point number one. And that is Arne Slot's usage of the squad. Now, I mentioned in the Discord, right, I don't think there's any chemistry between Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz. Now, at the start of the season, Luis Diaz was getting into the position between the peripheries of the goalpost, being found by Mo Salah in particular to score a higher shooting opportunity. Luis Diaz right now is marginalised on the width, where he can't beat a man for pace and with skill. On the odd occasion that he did, he actually created the goal for Darwin Núñez's equaliser, the poaching ability, the instep, right? And that is a system that Núñez thrives on, looking back to his Benfica days and looking on his Uruguay exploits as well, right? Lucho Diaz has been ineffectual in that system on the left-hand side because he just can't beat the man and do much. He's not creative. He's not an assist maker. He's not a player with vision, and he's not a visionary. He doesn't play make for an opportunity. He plays with skill, but he goes in cul-de-sacs and he goes out round and rotates again. Now, when these players are off key and off form, because Jota hasn't scored in ages, it's only Mo Salah delivering, right? So you got to look at options within the squad. Chiesa came on yesterday and looked sharper, and he has played at a high caliber level. European Championship winner, the best player in the tournament, can shoot off both feet and very, very direct as well. But he doesn't seem to be trusted by Arne Slot. Fair enough. He's got his injury problems. You don't know what happens behind the scene as well. Cody Gakpo is trusted by Arne Slot. So if you look at the whole squad in terms of their priority and hierarchy, okay, the only regular first team substitutes, you don't even get Kelleher for Alisson, no matter how well he plays, because Alisson is the world's best. And Arne Slot made that very clear from the start. You get Tsimikas for Robertson on occasion to save Robertson's leg, but also Tsimikas is a legitimate option to first choice left backs. Quansah barely made a dent in the centre back partnership between Konate and Van Dijk. The mishandling of Quansah from a Jurgen Klopp regular to someone marginalised. He had to pick up his confidence behind the scenes, and he is playing well at right back, to be fair to him. But Gomez and Quansah could not ever get into that centre-back pairing between Konate and Van Dijk, burning them out. But they are relatively solid, understandable. Conor Bradley rarely gets a kick in versus Trent Alexander-Arnold, even when the match calls for 1-2 dominance, overlapping, getting to the edge of the area. Sure, Trent Alexander-Arnold is quality. We miss him massively when he's not there. You see the lack of creativity from the back, the lack of penetration from the back, especially when they man-mark Gravenberch, when Trent is not there. Trent is a game-winning condition on himself because of the fact that the opposition have to set up differently and be alert that one ball switch from here to there gets you the next pass into the opposition area, okay? Conor Bradley should have been utilised more as well. Even when Trent is on and starts and is 2-0 up, Conor Bradley should have come on earlier, save Trent's legs, let him have the match-winning impact again and again. And when it's not going well, put Conor Bradley on, because he's a world-class player in that making as well. But look, Conor Bradley doesn't start in that rotation. Wataru Endo never starts in a rotation for Gravenberch, and Wataru Endo, big man mountain Endo, and I'm very, very close. It's very close to my heart, particularly reason why this channel was created. He's shown under Jurgen Klopp his worth, battling through against Manchester City, man of the match performances. We missed him against the first Chelsea tie last season. He came back in and helped dominate, put us in an even kill against a strong midfield as well. He's proven Premier League quality against opposition. He may not have the lateral running ability of a Gravenberch. He may not have the comfortable in possessionness of an Alexis McAllister, but he's a destroyer, gets you on the front foot, cheese the crowd, brings you up. Sometimes you need the battling quality against the strength and manpower of Joe Linton, right? Someone needs to crunch him and show him his boss, because Joe Linton and Bruno Guimaraes get away with absolute criminal behaviour in terms of fouls. It never gets penalised and called up. McAllister, a baller, a total midfielder, so same as Gravenberch. But the issue is when you play them consistently again and again, and it's not about burnout. It's not necessarily about burnout. Now, I will get into that in a second. Let's go back, because I digressed a little bit. Gakpo is a trusted first-team starter in the rotation of Lucho Diaz. Núñez is a trusted first-team starter, whether you like it or not, even though he played Jota and Lucho Diaz out of position up front. Núñez has started on occasion, maybe through lack of options. Yes. He's a third-choice striker. Yes, he costs a lot. Yes, but he has on occasion started. Elliott is not trusted by Arne Slot at all to start in the Mo Salah position or the Szoboszlai position. And that is heartbreaking, because Harvey Elliott bleeds red. his quality. He's got that vision and he's got that brain. He's the most creative player. He's got a left foot, but he actually has a decent right foot as well. And Jurgen Klopp's biggest regret was not playing Harvey Elliott more. He said it. And this is going to be a huge, huge regret. We need to utilize Harvey Elliott more because he's a quality player. He hasn't got a pressing intensity, but he works hard. He's got a great mentality. He's got great vision, got great creativity and composure. In that match against Brentford, right, where Nunes scored the double. Was it Brentford? Was it Bournemouth? One of the two. I think it was Brentford. It was Brentford. Thomas Frank, right? Mo Salah made the run on the other side, wanted the ball, but Harvey ignored him, held onto the ball long enough to release Darwin Nunes to score the late double, right, for the victory as well. Utilise Harvey Elliott, trust him. Curtis Jones is trusted by Arne Slot in the first team lineup, but not at the expense of Szoboszlai or McAllister, only to give him a rotation and rest. Curtis Jones, on occasion, is direct enough, and that through ball, he's got some techers in the through ball and shooting ability to play Chiesa in yesterday's final, and off you go. Scored a goal, be brave, turn the man. He had the shot himself, snapshot, after he started off by being brave and turning the man. Gravenberch can do it consistently. Sure, he's tiring and fatigued somewhat, but the bigger issue with playing Gravenberch and McAllister again and again and again and again and again isn't necessarily fatigue. Because professional footballers want to play football, and the style that we play isn't all out Gengen pressing, gung-ho, back and forth. It's that the opposition have ample time and opportunity to know exactly what Gravenberch and McAllister's roles are and to snuff it out. When Newcastle played that flat forward midfield that constantly pressed on Gravenberch and McAllister, unless they could turn the man and then beat the second man with a shimmy, they were nullified. And when Gravenberch is nullified, and if we don't have, especially if we don't have Trent in the back line, we have no way out except the long ball. That first touch by Virgil van Dijk on the opening minute was nervous as feck. And he punted it and booted it. And we usually go from back to left. For some reason, he was rushed into left-footed, hitting it right, and we lost the ball and turned it over. Right? We seem to be trying to settle in the game by giving long balls, by trying to press them and play on a counter-attack, which is not the way you want to start a final, showing your merit, showing your composure, showing your ball-playing ability, especially if Arne Slot, as he mentioned, is a big, big student and fan of Pep Guardiola's tiki-taka style of football, right? And it's not what we've seen on Feyenoord either. So that's the first complaint. Arne Slot doesn't give that motivation, that champion's mentality, that gusto, that huge belief into the players. He's more of a serious tactician. We work on the training methods and the players will perform on the day the way they always performed historically and throughout the rest of the season. The counter argument to that is consistency. When you play team week in, week out, those players, feel $1 million. They get the consistency, they get the patterns of play. But they already know the patterns of play because that team has played together under Jurgen Klopp previously. I would have loved to see the trust in Wataru Endo. Give Gravenberch a break. Make the opposition keep guessing. It's not just about burnout or running them down to the ground. It's keeping the opposition guessing at what your starting lineup may be because they offer different attributes. As well as destroy it, Wataru Endo is box to box for Japan. He's useful on the edge of the area. He's got a little dinked chip and through ball. He penetrates the lines with a pass, not necessarily always with a run. In fact, he might be the best alongside McAllister at that ball, that cute ball from the 6 to the advanced 8 or 10. That cute cutting ball to Szoboszlai again and again. He's also defensive shield. He's better in the air than McAllister, better in the air than Gravenberch. He is better than the air than Gravenberch. You really need to watch him if you don't believe it. Leaps like a spring salmon. Bosh, right? Curtis Jones has a role to play in any of the three midfield positions when you want to hold possession and rotate and pass and move. He's the best pass and mover of that lineup because Gravenberch can turn. He's cute, he's lanky, he's got technical ability. McAllister is a tempo maestro playing the ball through the lines. Szoboszlai is a machine darting backwards and forwards. But when Newcastle play for fouls, play the ball in the air, win the second ball and play with power, body and power, not passing and not allowing themselves to be pressed, you don't have an opportunity for intensity. The game is start and stop, choppy, blocky, right? You need scrappers. McAllister is a scrapper, but Gravenberch, when he's nullified, is chasing shadows. He's chasing shadows, and he can't get out of that block, okay? You need something different in there, and if you're playing janky football, you chuck in your Endo, and you chuck in your Curtis Jones for little spins and swivels out of danger as well, because he is very, very good at that. Gravenberch is good at that, granted, but he's burned out and he's knackered. And Szoboszlai is better when the opposition have a lot of the ball so he can chase them and ram them and knock them down, knock them over. But when you're playing that scrappy football, Szoboszlai didn't even touch the ball like many times throughout the whole game, in my opinion. So Arne Slot needs to trust his players. But the other flip side of this, okay, because Chiesa marginalised. Nunes marginalised. Even when Nunes scores and has a good game, he may not start the next game. When Curtis Jones has a good game, he may not start the next game. When Harvey Elliott makes a difference against PSG, right? He not necessarily starts the next game. Jurgen Klopp was actually very, very good, even though, frustratingly, he made his substitution 60 minutes plus and very, very late as well. If someone had a particularly good game, Jurgen Klopp would start them more often than not in next game if they were at the first team level. I'm not talking a Jaden Danzo. I'm not talking a Kumas. Bless him. I'm not talking a Bobby Clark. I'm talking a Harvey Elliott. If he had a good game, he'd start them. Same as Diogo Jota on occasion or Lucho Diaz on occasion, even when we had Firmino and Mane, for example, right? If someone had a good game on merit, Jurgen Klopp would a lot of the times trust them to deliver something. Harvey Elliott instead of Jordan Henderson rings massively true to that on many, many occasions. But Arne Slot doesn't do it. He has his favourites. He sticks with them. He's stubborn with substitutes. And I'm hoping it's not the stubbornness because of favouritism. It's just he sees something tactically and what he wants to do. We're going to learn about this next season. His consistency, you can't argue the point that his consistency of pick has got us the Premier League title. It really, really has. Okay. And certain players have stepped up. But without options and alternatives and keeping the opposition guessing, we become so predictable. And when you block out Mo Salah and we don't Trent Alexander-Arnold, our creativity is nil, zero. Alexis McAllister tried to take the game by the scruff of the neck, tried to play make, tried to show his abilities as well. And he really, really plugged and plucked away. But he can't do it on his own. He needs the Curtis Jones. He needs the Harvey Elliott's help as well. Chiesa needs to be trusted. I fear for his future when he doesn't even get a mention and are lacking of left wingers with Cody Gakpo not fit. Cody Gakpo is a weapon to break the deadlock with a long shot from left wing, but he's not fit and he's been injured. Ever since Thomas Partey crashed down on Lucho Diaz's knee, I don't think he's a game-winning condition. He's just a solid winger who works hard at the moment without end product. It sounds a bit negative, but that's an honest take on it. Slot needs to trust the squad. That's lessons learned one. It could be remedied in the summer when he gets the budgets to really buy the players that he will stamp his name on for the Arne Slot machine system. And inevitably, I believe that will allow him to play those players in the rotation in the first team lineup and substitutes earlier because he would have handpicked them and seen them in training, okay? I really, really hope that proves true. Now, point number 2 is the intensity. Starting with intensity, starting with power, starting with gusto. Is it the players' fault in this? Because Arne Slot mentions it in the press conference again and again. We didn't start with the energy that I imagined. We didn't start with the intensity that I imagined. Why is that? Why is it that our first half becomes boring and predictable, feeling the opposition out when Arne Slot says we didn't start with the intensity, we didn't close them down, we didn't press, we didn't be brave? Why is that? Are they directly going against the manager's order? Or was he playing a bit of diversion here in the way that the instructions are to press them, to play them off the park, and to go with intensity with a slot machine style lateral ball, making them chase shadows, inviting the press on football? It's way too passive in the first half. We used to start with fire and desire. Now, to be fair, we started with fire and desire against PSG. Mo Salah had 2 critical chances to put the game to bed and to put us on the front foot, to lift up Anfield, to blow the roof off of Anfield. He failed to convert, and the rest is history. He nullified for the rest of it. We didn't have an answer, right? We don't seem to be able to keep that intensity for 90 minutes regularly compared to Jurgen Klopp team, and these are predominantly the same players. Something's missing there. Something is not connecting there in terms of all that explanation. What you're seeing with eye test, a passive first half, Arne Slot, tactical genius at halftime, changing at halftime for that intensity. Why do we not start with that intensity when Arne Slot is directly saying we didn't start with energy, which is why the first half was lackluster? It's either a tactical ploy, it's diversion, or the opposition are making us look bad. And it can be a combination of 3. But I don't like it. I liked it when Liverpool played with intensity, got the early goal, and then kept attacking, get the second goal before sitting off. Endo coming on to close up a shop. And he's not just a closer, he's a better player than a closer. He's the cleaner, he sweeps up in midfield, and he can put us back on the front foot. But that's for another conversation. It's that intensity and lack of intensity and enthusiasm at the start and playing with conviction and belief that I don't like. It could be why we went for Zubimendi to really control the ball and put us on the front foot and, dominate play. But McAllister can do that. Jones can do that. Gravenberch can do that. But we don't do that. And it's very, very disheartening and questionable. Okay, that's number 2. And number 3, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. Now, you can argue the consistency of pick and patterns of play has got Mo Salah the best metrics and the best season ever. But we're so heavily reliant on him, not just because he's the Egyptian king and amazing, because he is. One of the best seasons ever, the best right wing in the world. He was a Ballon d'Or contender until the last few weeks when he's dropped off massively because we exited the Champions League. He's got 1 penalty goal in a cup final for Liverpool against Tottenham, and Sadio Mane made that for him, right? And he even changed his decision on the kick, and Lloris probably should have done better for it. Salah is our best player. He's won us the Premier League. He's been amazing, absolutely amazing in the backdrop of his contract renewal, Van Dijk's contract renewal, and Trent Alexander-Arnold's contract renewal. But it's at the detriment of the other game winners. Darwin Núñez can be a game winner, but his confidence has been shattered for the fact that we do not play a style that suits Darwin Núñez and allows him to be set up to be the game winner. That Lucho Diaz cutback allows Darwin Núñez to get in behind. Mo Salah deeper, playmaking long through balls, got Núñez in twice against Newcastle for that comeback on the red card. A long ball, through ball, and allowing space and giving him the space to operate and move gives him the opportunity to run in behind, as well as a playmaker closer to him, allows him to be cute with his turned runs on the shoulder. We don't have a playmaker close enough to him. Szoboszlai is never going to be a creative playmaking maestro with cute through balls. He's a power forward, a false 10 and 11 who closes down the 6 and dominates as an extra man in midfield, as well as being intelligent enough to overlap and underlap Salah and cover for Trent Alexander-Arnold or Conor Bradley as well, right? But we do not have the player close enough to Darwin Núñez to constantly give him those opportunity that a striker feeds off. He's not the clinical type of striker that will bury that 1-in-1 and game done like an Isak yesterday. But he's a volume striker that can be super effective if you feed him through time and time again. But we do not play to his strengths because we have to allow Salah to play make from that right inside forward position. It's got a Premier League, but at the detriment of our biggest signing, and he'll probably move on in the summer. Diogo Jota, similar situation. Why expecting Diogo Jota to create from the outside, beat two men and try to get a snapshot away? We're not feeding him the through balls. We're not feeding him those cute crosses they can get across and use his aerial prowess and aerial ability. None of our forward line are being fed exactly what they need, except from Salah and on occasion Gakpo, because Gakpo can be set up on the left, and it's thanks to his attributes, an amazing shot. That cutting inside is a game-winning condition, or going down the byline with power and dinking it left foot or smashing it left foot across the goal for someone to hit again and again, right? It's literally set up for Gravenberch, and it's not even set up for Trent Alexander-Arnold to be the primary playmaker. His defensive responsibility is much higher. I know this sounds like a massive rant, and it kind of is, but it's also set up for Gravenberch to receive the ball off the opposition, try to turn a man, try to beat the press with a cute turn, a roulette spin, or with power, or with a 1-2, or to break the balls with a line as well. But when you nullify him, then McAllister becomes a secondary playmaker, but then he's deeper as well. There's a massive disconnect between the two there and the front line, which leaves Szoboszlai. But once again, Szoboszlai is not the creative playmaking, number 10 of your dreams. He's a power forward, a moving, a mobile forward, which means we lose the midfield battle in the centre circle, in around the 6th position, when those three aren't working tremendously well, okay? So we just do not have the system to make the most out of our other game winners, which are Jota, which are Núñez. Chiesa doesn't even get an opportunity in the system. When Jota's off form, it doesn't matter because we're not making the opportunities for Jota anyway, unless you're thinking that Jota's a secondary 10 playmaker to give the ball to who? Salah on the outside as a secondary playmaker? It's only going to be Diaz who overruns, and he's not fast enough, and he hasn't got enough shooting ability or techers to get in the goal scoring positions like at the start of the season again and again. And he's not the same player ever since Partey crushed his knee on the outside as well. The only ones that get in behind are Núñez and Jota. So it doesn't really make sense when you don't play the balls to Núñez and Jota that you give it to Salah constantly. And over-reliance on Salah as well is not Salah's fault. But you see on occasion, especially Szoboszlai is the most criminal at this, passes on the buck and responsibility to Salah when he could have taken an opportunity to drive at the man, beat him with skill, go for power deflection, drive in the box, ignore Salah, right, when he's not in the best position. You don't always have to look for Salah. Go for goal, go for the shot, go for the win, believe in yourself, be the game winner, be the Liverpool hero, right? Because every player in the Liverpool squad, as Arne Slot said, is of world-class potential caliber and able to make the difference, but they don't. They pass on the buck. Now, you watched my video last time, and I said that might be one reason why Salah moving on might not be the worst thing in the world, even though he's our best player and I'd love him to stay. You can't pass on the buck to Salah anymore if he's not here. But that's not Salah's fault once again. It's not Salah's fault. He's won us this Premier League. He should be one of the key tools to get us to win, not the only tool to open up the lock or pick up the lock or actually put the gold in the treasure box. Yeah, it should be everybody else contributing equally, and a system designed as it was for Mane and Firmino and Salah, Firmino being a big part of that, giving us multiple game-winning conditions with Trent bombarding the box with balls as well and Robertson. But at the moment, we look so consistently obvious in what we're trying to do. Get Salah to unlock the door or hope for a miracle from left-hand side from a Gakpo or Diaz as well, right? Nothing is designed for the striker, and it's a difficult watch. It's making us a difficult watch, especially when they figure us out. Okay, that's number 3. And number 4 is a lack of a plan B we don't really seem to be able to mix it up. This might be part to do with the earlier issues around not utilizing the squad, the different attributes and different profiles. But even with the players on the pitch, now I don't want to hear any nonsensical things, right? I once watched another Liverpool channel who's growing maybe 10, 11, 12, 15,000 subscribers. I don't know. I don't watch his channel anymore. The reason I don't watch it, because 2 times in a row, or at least to my memory, he suggested Trent Alexander-Arnold starting defensive midfield 6. He never started defensive midfield 6 for Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp lambasted Gareth Southgate. Why do you want to put the best right back in the world in a midfielder where he's an average midfielder? Arne Slot said the same thing as well. Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right channels is the best in the world, delivers the best balls in the world, the most attacking threat in the world from the right channels. In the middle, he's just another midfielder. McAllister and Gravenberch are better than Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I don't want to hear a Mo Salah starting centre forward, because Mo Salah is slower than before, can't play with his back to goal, is incredibly one-footed, his shot is incredibly weak as well. What is Mo Salah going to do up front? You're turning him into a poacher when he's a most creative player. He won't poach either. He hasn't got the creative instincts to be a Robbie Fowler or an Ian Rush, for example. I don't want to hear Mo Salah up front is the solution. I don't want to hear Trent Alexander-Arnold in the base of midfield is the solution. It's not. But we have to translate issues tactically with solutions to make it understandable for the team and to let them deliver on the pitch. What can you do in that instance? It could be a formation change. It could be a tweak. If Gravenberch is going to play centre-back, it allows you to put that extra midfield to press higher up as well. But it partners well with Endo, who as a half-back can go in midfield and into defensive midfield role, allowing them to rotate on occasion, right? Why don't you overlap a fullback and allow them to bomb forward again and again and offer the natural width instead of giving it to your inside forward again and again? Robertson's still capable. Trent Alexander-Arnold is capable. Conor Bradley is definitely capable and probably the best at it right now. But Robertson's crossing this season has been very disappointing. I think Trent's massively overtaken him in the assist rankings now. Someone confirmed for me in the comments below. We just lack a plan B. We don't even have a target man up front to knock it down, Robert Hoof style, Mourinho style, Fellaini style, or whatever. We seem so one-dimensional in that play that Trent Alexander-Arnold had to take it upon himself to be that long shooter, the person who takes it by the scruff of the neck, who tried to bypass the midfield with power running, with explosive intensity and taking long shots, pot shots from everywhere. And we almost got the equaliser from that occasion if Luis Diaz wasn't offside for Szoboszlai to hit the rebound in from an Alexander-Arnold left-footed cross, going from right back into the left wing position, right? We lack the versatility, the transitions, the dynamism, and the rotation in the lineup. The lack of a plan B is very, very disheartening, because Slot is a top tactician. He's proven he's a top tactician because he's beaten a lot of the opposition rivals, the top 6. If you're talking Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, whoever, Tottenham, Man United, not necessarily Man United. Slot has proven tactically able to beat these teams, even sometimes when we're under the cosh and in a low block. Slot's dirty low block. So why do we not have that obvious plan B when we have players like Chiesa, Elliott, Curtis Jones, Nunes on the bench? We really should be looking more versatile and able to mix it up. And the final point I want to say, as well as mixing up, is why are our set pieces suddenly looking really bad? Van Dijk is maybe the most dominant scoring centre-back of all time. I want to say of all time. Someone correct me again if I'm wrong. We really should be utilising that. It's a knockdown at the back post, flying in at the front post, out-jumping people, all this kind of stuff, right? Defensively as well, Maka on Dan Burn didn't make sense, because trying to put him off, trying to mark the runs, Dan Burn running into the congested area where our big centre-backs like Ibu and Van Dijk are. We do the same thing every single week. Of course Newcastle could figure out and have it as a game-winning condition, right? Maka being a man mark and blocking, I understand. I can actually understand compared to some people for the fact that he's not going to out-jump people or aerially dominate people. But if you can mess up people, mess up their rhythm, or at least get in their way from that far out, you should be able to influence them, except for the fact that Dan Burn bases his whole attacking threat around losing the marker and powering a header. And he did it, and we lost the final, right? Why are we not offensively more capable? Szoboszlai can hit a great set-piece delivery, as can McAllister, as can Trent, as can Robert on occasion, especially Tsimikas can as well. But our balls and delivery are just not there. Now, I know our set-piece coach didn't get a visa to join the backroom staff. He may not still be there. I don't actually know. I know he is struggling to get a visa. But Arsenal's set-piece coach got them a lot of free points. That Mikel Merino looping header, right? It may not be off the training out, maybe a miraculous header, but by hook or by crook, they were even known as a luxury Stoke, winning by the odd goal with set pieces. Defensively, we've looked vulnerable. Even Arne Slot said, when you lose a set piece duel and they score from set pieces and you don't, the match is going to be very hard to win. Now, with that emphasis on it, and if we've been training it specifically, is it the players' fault? Are they not doing their role? Or are they listening to the role and the roles and tactics are just not fit for purpose? I don't know. There used to be discussion around zonal marking Benitez until now everyone does it and nobody blinks an eyelid, right? He's got to get that right. We should be a massive set piece threat from free kicks, direct free kicks, indirect free kicks, in swinging corners, out swinging corners. That Trippier out swerve fooled everyone, disguised against everyone. Les Ferdinand mentioned he'd love to get those to attack. Give me the ball to attack. They seem to be cleared or don't clear the first man or headed on. There's not even the goalmouth scramble. Even that wonder goal, right, played across the front of goal, flicked on by Soboslai and Salah hitting it. Unless it got that deflection, it wouldn't have gone in. Our set pieces look so poor and they're so vital. They're so vital. There's so many areas, right, to improve this Liverpool team that as long as we get the Premier League and we have the open bus ceremony and hope Klopp is in the crowd somewhere, he's not taking the thunder. He deserves a celebration. He's a Liverpool fan as well, right? Let's get the Premier League done and dusted. I don't want to moan and complain. I've tried to be as constructive as I can, and hopefully these points resonate with you in terms of what you've seen week in, week out, especially in the last few weeks. We've gone out to PSG. We went out against Plymouth, right? With no backup in the squad, and it didn't really prove fruitful either to save the legs for the coming weeks. We have matches to win in the Premier League. Hopefully, Slot uses the squad more. We need to rack up the wins and build up the confidence. This was meant to be a confidence booster, and this has been massively depressing and disappointing as well. I stayed up quite late to watch the match. International fan base, this is the best international... I've been ranting too long, can't even talk. Best international fan base in the world. Everyone talks sense. Everyone's frustrated. Everyone's emotional, but we don't flame. We don't have personal attacks on, on the players, for example, on social media. Everyone has a right to vent their frustrations critically and detailed as well. And I love to read them. I'd love to read your feedback in the comments below, and I will reply to all of them personally as well. Drop a like on this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. This helps the channel grow. We're going to reach 9,000 this year, hopefully 10,000 this year. And look, Liverpool win the Premier League, everyone will smile and be happy. But look, even in good times, you got to do the analysis to understand where we can improve, and we can improve in so many places. And that means this summer is a big opportunity with a war chest, and I hope it finally gets unleashed and unveiled for Slot to get the players that he really needs, so he can trust those players to utilize them more and not burn out our players and allow the opposition to figure us out time and time again. Miyazaki man, Ichiban means the best right now. You guys are the best. Chin up, head up. It'll be okay. Let's have a parade at the end of the season. Jane means ciao.